Hey, we're here with Paul Massey. He's one of our favorite lenders at our Lamoureux Group team. He's from Move It Mortgage. And Paul, I wanted to ask you a real quick question. What are the 5 things that any buyer needs to ask their lender before they start working with them?
Well, you're going to have to help me count because normally I would just babble and spit them out. So I would say number 1, especially in this market, is just getting a pre-approval letter or pre-qualification letter is not good enough anymore. Would you agree with that?
I would agree.
So number 1 is make sure it's a pre-approval letter. A pre-approval letter, it means that there's been a little bit more work done up front. So that way when you're placing an offer, those pre-quals are just getting thrown out. Would you say that you do that on your listings when you get a pre-qual?
Actually, I got a question for you. So on the pre-approval, does that mean that you're running their credit report and they just give you a call, or does that mean that you actually look at their paperwork? What is an actual full pre-approval?
So unfortunately, there is no pre-approval police out there that are going to go ahead and say, hey, for a pre-approval you have to have X, Y, and Z done. But traditionally in the market and in the industry, it's expected that you've run credit, looked at income documents, and looked at assets. So does everybody do that? No, but the consensus is that you at least want a pre-approval letter. So
gotcha.
I see pre-qualifications in the mail as direct mailers sometimes, and that's not good. So,
okay, all right.
So number 2 is what they actually do when the offer is placed. Like some lenders, like big banks, for example, you place an offer, they don't even know what's going on, and when it gets accepted, they just get the contract. But when there's a good lender involved that has a good reputation in the market, they'll actually call that listing agent and they'll make sure that they know that they're represented by you, that what you've done on the file, and that way the chances of it getting accepted are even higher, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Third thing would be, you do not need to get your credit checked a million times. So if you find somebody that you know, like, and trust, stick with that. At the end of the day, there's plenty of time to shop around when you're under contract, but too many buyers try to put the cart before the horse, and we try to coach everybody not to do that. I think I'm at 3. Right? Yeah, okay. Don't do anything dumb. And what we mean by that is don't get pre-approved and then go buy that new Mercedes because, hopefully the back seat's big enough, because if you don't tell your lender about that stuff, you don't want to get 3.5 weeks into the process and find out that's your new home, right? So don't do anything like that. Don't spend unnecessary amounts of money, and another thing is don't get just large transfers that haven't been documented and haven't been told about by your lender. Clear everything, okay, with your lender, and just make sure that it's not going to affect your approval.
Okay, one more.
That's the big thing too, is with your lender, make sure that that's just what they do and they're in practice. We see a lot of people that get into the process and they're deep into the process, and then a big thing comes up, a nightmare. So just make sure that you know that they do loans in your area, they're local, and that they've done at least 20-30 loans for the year, just to make sure that they are somebody who's actually in practice. It's like you don't want to go get a surgery done with a doctor who hasn't operated in a year and a half. It's not a good thing, right?
Right.
So same with us.
Well, thank you so much. We love working with you, and thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Well, we have a lot of new home buyers, people who've never had a home before, and the first thing they want to do is go out looking for a home. And I say, well, how much do you want to spend? They have no idea how much they want to spend. Where should they really start in their home buying process? I don't think it's going out looking at homes. I think it's talking to you.
It is. I 100% think that, because a lot of times we get those phone calls at the 11th hour from somebody who's not having that conversation, and they're either in love with the property that they can't afford, or they weren't ready to buy anyway, and it's this whole heartbreaking process. So
somebody else gets the house because they're not ready.
Exactly. So talking to us up front is the most important thing. You want to make sure your lender focuses on only 2 things with the client: how much they want to spend on a monthly basis and how much out-of-pocket expense they want to have. Every single other thing is second place. So when you really focus on those 2 things, everything else is smooth sailing from there on
So
out.
Someone who's never bought a house and really has no idea how much they can spend, after they meet with you, they're going to know that.
Absolutely. And what I say to renters sometimes is I said, look, if you were going to go rent another place now instead of buying, and it checked all the boxes, what is the most amount of money that you'd be willing to spend on a monthly basis for that rent? And when they answer that question, then I can back them into a mortgage payment, so they know what payment is associated with these houses that they're actually looking at.
Right.
And it's never too early. You always want to get it checked out as early as possible.
So there's a ton of reasons why we pick the partners we pick. They either come highly recommended, or we use them ourselves, and we're here to support you whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Central Florida. We are your local agents with local expertise, serving the global community.